from the Post Millennial. Chuck Schumer demands border never closes bill pass, or else U.S. troops will have to fight in Ukraine. Now, hold on. We're going to break this down. He did not literally say Ukraine. He said in Eastern Europe, in a NATO ally in a few years. And so it's vague enough. First, he could mean Poland. He could mean Sweden. I think it's fair to argue he might literally mean Ukraine, in that the West wants to take control of it and would absolutely shove it into NATO if they had to. But he's basically saying Vladimir Putin is going to invade Europe, and so we need this border security bill? Whose border security? Ukraine's?
Yeah, I want to know.
It's a Ukraine border security
I want to know
bill.
how my border got to Ukraine. You know,
it's pretty bizarre. Yeah.
You know, when we say, how did our freedoms get to the Middle East? How did our border get to Ukraine?
We now?
Fire them all, bulldoze DC, salt the earth.
I'm coming to believe this hypothesis, at least I had the hypothesis, that we are in a slow coup that's been going on for 100 years, man.
Slow?
It is like a banking. Yeah, they're trying to do it not fast enough to alert the people.
JFK.
Like JFK, the Federal Reserve, the business plot, there's so much. There's so many foreign wars that are proxy wars with money getting laundered away from our country. And 9/11 even, I could just go down a list of things I find in my hypothesis that this is a news show. I'm not going to do that on a news show, but the last 10 years, it's been like, they're like, don't alert them. Just let's get the money. Let's do the COVID spending. They increased our budget by 20%, our deficit by 20% in 2 years.
A soft coup. I mean, I would actually suggest, I would ask, at what point does the government become the functioning and in control government, right? So Taiwan, the official name of Taiwan is the Republic of China, I believe, correct?
Yeah.
And so many people make the joke that communist China is just West Taiwan, because the original government of China fled to Taiwan. Yep. They've maintained themselves ever since, resisting the communists. And so my question is, at what point after the coup happened in the United States, Woodrow Wilson, who knows, the banker plot, the Federal Reserve.
1913, that's a big
right. So my point is simply this. Maybe the revolution was Donald Trump. Not that he is a perfect guy, not that he was the guy, but that he ripped the establishment's power in twain, and they were losing their minds.
They're still losing it.
Absolutely. And so when everyone's like, they're trying to stage a coup, and I'm like, well, the thing is, the establishment was in control. The Uniparty was in control. Then a bunch of people on the internet made a bunch of memes, and the reality TV real estate mogul wins and says, don't do wars, we're shutting it down, secure our borders. And then they lose their minds like, we've lost control of this. That's why it's funny when they say our democracy. They say Donald Trump is a threat to our democracy. They're literally saying that there's a populist uprising against the autocratic control we've maintained for generations.
Yep, that's true. It was George Bush Sr. in the 90s said that we were moving towards a new world order. This liberal economic order was fading into something new, a global order. Mm-hmm. Trump got into office and canceled the Trans-Pacific Partnership right away.
And that's
3
exactly,
days in. It was if you look at the investor-state dispute settlement clause in that Trans-Pacific Partnership, it said foreign countries, these investors, these Malaysian oil companies, can sue a state for discrimination.
Right.
If we chose not to buy a Malaysian company's oil as American citizens, they could sue our country, and as taxpayers, we would have had to pay a corporation out. That's what that Trans-Pacific Partnership was going to do to us. Yep. And Obama was on board. And then Trump came in and threw it in the garbage. I don't even know if he knew what it was, what it was doing. I don't know if he stopped something he understood.
He just knew there were a bunch of people outside yelling Trump, and they had expressed concerns about it.
Let's not fool ourselves and act like there's not so much foreign influence today still in the United States, though, right? I mean, it's AIPAC's arguably one of the very strongest outside influences in the United States today, and it's and it's not good for us as Americans, especially when you're an American first person, right? But Trump got into office and immediately hired John Bolton, so I mean, the establishment thing is kind of
I think
he was not great at hiring.
Donald Trump
was the worst. It was really bad.
Understand? Donald Trump thought. He was like, I'll play ball and I'll get done what I want to get done. And they were like, no. You don't understand. You live under our boot. The joke is, as soon as you win the election, you sit down in the Oval Office. Guy from the CIA sits down and just sits down, says, Mr. President, opens a manila folder and then slides a picture of JFK right across the table and says, we'll be in touch, and then leaves.
Right.
We get it. Trump is the guy who was like, what is this? I don't know what you're showing me. Why are you showing me a picture of this guy? And they're like, we're letting me know what? I don't get it. And they're like,
too dumb to intimidate.
Doesn't understand what we're trying to say to him. And he's like, look, we're going to secure the border. We're shutting down. There was no Mr. President. We're not. Yes, we are on the bus. And he doesn't listen.
Yeah.
So what do I think is when Trump was running, I remember I was in D.C. Trump had a meeting with a bunch of establishment Republicans. They did not want him. The Democrats want him to be the Pied Piper candidate. Trump, I think, genuinely wants to secure the borders, bring jobs back. That goes against their agenda. And so he thinks when he gets in, now I'm the president. I've got to play ball with some of these guys. I got to, there's favors. We'll bring in John Bolton. I think Sheldon Adelstein wanted
a lot of favors.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so then what happens? Russiagate. And Trump, I think, finally realizes, bro, you are being tricked, manipulated, and lied to, and you brought in a bunch of dumbasses.
I question whether or not there are people available to fill the positions that are not currently already steeped in the bureaucracy, right? Like there are a lot of positions that have to be filled, and I don't know who you go with that's actually someone that's not already got their significant connections to the existing bureaucracy, just because
that's my concern.
Yeah, but Bolton is
obviously
the worst.
Let me just tell you, in order to hire John Bolton, Trump had to drive past a local prison, drive past a city dump,
all better people,
and go way down to the Pacific garbage gyre, where he got a submersible and went down to where all the deepest trenches of garbage have sunk, and dig even deeper than that. And there's John Bolton.
We could have dug up the corpse of Madeleine Albright, and it would have been the same thing, essentially. And so, it's terrible. And so that was what worries me about Trump too, right? Like in 2024, should Trump win? Is it the same thing going to happen? And
no new wars.
And then that's great. And I get that. But my concern is that a lot of my young Republican friends, because I have a lot of friends that are Republicans, tons of friends, that are very excited about Trump because of who the VP pick might be. And I think everybody's like, oh, it's got to be somebody like Vivek or somebody like Kristi Noem or somebody like that. And I'm like, you realize that 80% of the GOP is still deeply entrenched neocons, and they have to play to that part of the party, not the 7% like Vivek.
It would be really funny if Trump just came out and was like, I've chosen my VP, John Bolton. He's a great guy.
I think it's going to be somebody along the lines of Nikki Haley. I really believe.
I think it might be Tucker, man.
I'll put it simply for those that don't know. John Bolton has a long history of working in administrations and just wanting war. And so he had a quote. I think this was during the Trump administration. He said something like, "This time next year, we will be celebrating in Tehran." And so he is just a neocon maximalist warmonger character. Nikki Haley ain't got nothing on the war he wants.
Yeah.
Trump hiring him was a mistake. And then Bolton stabbed him in the back.
Yeah.
You could do the hire a cabinet of a bunch of successful businessmen. At this point, it's like the founders did. The founding fathers were a bunch of successful businessmen that got together and started and ran a government together because they knew how to run things, and they weren't entrenched in the garbage.
Right. Elon Musk for VP.
I mean, if you're talking about getting,
he's not born in America. So.
If you're talking about getting people that are actually going to satisfy, supposedly the other side of the aisle, the last people they're going to be satisfied with are people that are CEOs and board members of companies.
You can't satisfy the other side of the aisle.
I would agree with that.
We were talking about this downstairs because this song came on by Passion Pit, and there's a line. He has a song called "I Took a Walk." And there's a line in the song where it says, we can rip apart all the socialists and all their damn taxes. And the left went nuts over the song, attacking the band and criticizing them. It was like a cancel culture thing for having dared said that. And that the point of the song, though, is it's about the feelings of his relatives, and it's quotes from them and things they have said. He's not literally saying he hates socialism. He's just saying, this is what the older guy said to him. But the left doesn't care what's true. They don't care about the point of the statement or the message. It's just it's surface level. It's one-dimensional thinking. So if you want to satisfy these people, I mean, we were talking about this just before the show, and I mentioned it in the morning segment about this guy. I was playing a poker, and he had Trump derangement syndrome down in D.C. And I realized something. My girlfriend had said. He was muttering to himself. He was screaming, "How could you vote for Trump?" He would not listen to a single word. He asked me to name one thing Trump did that I liked. I said, "No new wars." He keeps muttering. He's like, "You can't even name one thing." I'm like, "Abraham Accords." He keeps muttering. And I'm like, this guy can't hear a word. He's just sitting there. "You're so stupid. These people are so dumb and stupid." And then my girlfriend's like, he doesn't know what the Abraham Accords are. And I was like, there's no way for him to respond at all to what that means because he doesn't know. You can't satisfy these people because they live in a shoebox.
But arguably, besides the no new wars thing, the best thing Trump did was make people extreme on the corporate news media being the enemy of the people. I mean, that's the greatest thing that Trump did, and it was hilarious watching him work. I mean, just the way that he's able to just troll people in real life is amazing. Like, that's great. I love that. But I worry about Trump too, and what that means for the people who get their hopes up for a lot of stuff and then it doesn't happen.
Well, look.
In 2020, less than 500,000 people came across the border and were apprehended. It was less than 500,000.
Yeah.
Illegal immigrants.
In 2020?
In 2020.
What can you really expect from Donald Trump too? Like what is it that you think people are expecting?
I think people, first of all, the VP spot. I think that a lot of people are going to be let down when we find out who the VP.
But that's not even when he's president. Let's say Donald, he gets elected, and I don't know.
And people are like, "Oh, it's going to be somebody great." And I'm like, "Do you remember who his VP was last time?" I know. Right?
So let's say it's Trump Burgum. I'm just picking like the least probable candidate.
Sure. Yeah.
What do people think? Like what do you perceive as the hopes and dreams?
I think on the extreme side, it's all these people are going to go to jail, right? Like this is the revenge tour. We're gonna lock up all these corrupt people and shut down the border, and we're gonna end all the wars, and we're gonna give all the tax cuts. And I know, but that's what a lot of people think.
But no. But like first, locking people up and arresting everybody. Maybe some people might get some referrals. You don't think that some people won't get arrested?
I sure hope so. I
don't think it's going to be like military tribunals where they go after the Clintons or anything. Yeah. I think it's going to be like we're going to hear about lawyers and we're going to hear about election officials. There's going to be criminal charges brought up by. I mean, could you imagine if Kash Patel was the AG? Yeah. Right. There would be criminal charges.
Right.
I don't think it's going to be like this apocalyptic thing.
No.
Ending wars? Well, Donald Trump is the best president in my lifetime on foreign war. And pulling our troops out of Afghanistan, setting the deadline for it, I should say. Biden screwed that up. Trying to get our troops out of Syria, and no new wars.
He kind of expanded the Syrian war though a little bit when he did that too, right?
When he tried to get our troops out.
Yeah.
But how so?
Didn't we send them a bunch more cash right after that happened?
I mean, if we're leaving, and like if you came to me and said, we're gonna pull here's what Trump wants to do. He wants to get all our troops out of Syria, and then we'll give Syria some cash. It's like, okay.
But he didn't pull the troops out.
No. He did. He gave the order, and then the officials lied to the American people, to him, and kept them in.
Fair.
Right. That's mess. Look, if the only thing I could be offered was vote for Donald Trump, he will take a dump on the floor of the White House, but he won't start a war, I'll take it. Done.
Yeah, that is a better deal.
I mean,
considering how many people are taking dumps on the floor.
To be honest, like Joe Biden is like, he'll dump on the floor in his pants in the everywhere he goes. He'll have to change his pants several times. He'll start several wars, and I'm like, well, there's no upside to that.
Yeah, well, also none of us are stupid enough to believe that Joe Biden is actually leading the foreign policy in the United States right now, right? Like,
dude is a mess.
He's 23. They just did a poll. They just put out a poll where only 23% of the respondents said that they think his mental capacity is good enough to be the president again, and that's. I mean, I think that's high. I think 23% is high, but that's really low in a poll for this country.
Well, you heard what Bill Maher was saying. Gavin Newsom's a winner. He can win an election.
Sure.
Joe Biden, man. The argument from the DeSantis people that the only reason, or one of the main reasons they don't want Trump is a loser. He's going to lose. Everyone hates him. And it is true. The only reason Joe Biden won is because people vote against Donald Trump. I take that back. Not the only reason. A good factor in why Biden actually got votes was not because anyone liked Biden, but the strong factor in why Biden won was because activists went out and collected ballots.
Because they mailed ballots to people, and then people were told how to vote.
Well, I'm telling you, listen.
And then they told us that wasn't happening.
The United States is really big on politicians failing upwards. We've known this forever. And coming from California, I watched Gavin Newsom ruin San Francisco. San Francisco used to be a really beautiful city when I was a kid, and he ruined it. He destroyed it. And instead of going, hey, that guy really ruined one of our coolest cities in the state, let's get rid of him, we said, let's make him the governor of the state, and so we can have a poo maps for all of California. And next, who knows? Maybe the country,
maybe the world.
Why
stop there? Mars.
Well, there was an article written several years ago that I had covered. California is 5 years ahead of the United States. Over the past several decades, whatever happens in California 5 years later is national. And so they talk about a bunch of policies, gay marriage was a big issue in California, things like that. Illegal immigration, sanctuary cities became
sanctuary state for trans kids.
Well, California had sanctuary cities, which then turned into a sanctuary state. And then all of a sudden you start seeing it spread across the country. And I think it has a lot to do with the undue influence they have through illegal immigration.
Sure.
They get extra votes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's no doubt.
Yeah, they have extra. Some members of Congress have said it's between 5 and 7 extra congressional seats, which is 5 to 7 extra electoral college votes for president because of non-citizens they have illegally allowed into their country in defiance of federal law.
Well, under Trump said that the census should differentiate between people who are here illegally and citizens who are, obviously lawful citizens. And that's what he was aiming for. And Biden reversed that within his first few days in office.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.